Welcome everyone to my first local sports recap video. My name is Ben Schmidt. I'm a reporter with KHQA. And really what I'm doing here is I go all around the area to all these different sports events and games. And we have these great sports communities here. I'm there with my camera getting highlights for our shows. And just based on how much time you have on air, you can't fit every narrative, every player, every story from a couple hour long game into just a couple minutes of highlights. So I thought this would be a fun opportunity to sit down right in front of a camera and just talk about some stuff that I saw, what I witnessed at the games I went to over the course of this past week. And ideally, this turns into something fun, maybe do once a week or so, just kind of recapping where I've been from the past Friday through Tuesday, different games that I've been to throughout our coverage area, highlight some extra players and stats and stuff like that, and just talk about certain plays and stuff that I saw that really stood out to me. And I love to just talk sports. This is, I think, something that's going to be a lot of fun. Really informal. I plan to kind of just record these, not edit it, and just share my thoughts here for a couple minutes. And I do have some notes written down on a couple things from these games, and I want to get scores and names and stuff. But for the most part, just kind of sit here and talk directly me into the camera. And maybe for the most part of these can kind of just listen to it if you're involved with one of these schools or teams that I'm going to talk about, and get a little bit of extra analysis on this type of medium that you don't always get on air, because you have more freedom, more informal to do stuff here and kind of talk to those things. So wanted to kind of start this up. I've had a great experience with the sports coverage for these first couple of months here that I've been in Quincy, and want to continue doing that. I've had great interactions with so many people and thought this could be a fun thing to do. So gonna get this going, hopefully a once a week type of thing on a Wednesday or a Thursday post. If you're watching this, I really appreciate it. I've had so many great interactions, like I said, and going to try and continue to build on those and do fun stuff like this. So please let me know whether you like stuff like this, if you are paying attention and viewing these. And let's get going. We got the first video introduction out of the way, so now we can get into the games, into the sports, and let's get rolling. So I want to start going back to last Friday with Hannibal Football. Their season, unfortunately, comes to an end, traveling over to Warrenton, and lose 42-30. This time, Warrenton gets its revenge. Hannibal knocked them out, ended their undefeated season last year. Now Warrenton gets their revenge this year and knocks the Pirates out 42-28. Two main things here. Number one, Austin Haas was the guy in this game, scoring 5 touchdowns for Warrenton. And I don't necessarily know how much blame you can totally put on Hannibal's defense, because Austin Haas, known very good football player, very good running back that left his mark on this game. So when you have a guy on the other team that scores 5 touchdowns, turns it into a track meet, that's tough to go blow for blow with, no matter what team, what defense you are. But the point I really wanted to make from this game and get across is 14-point loss. It felt like Hannibal was able to hang, though, and I was impressed with a lot of things that went on in this one, despite a double-digit loss. And I just wanted to say, despite it being double digits, it felt like Hannibal was able to really stay in this thing. They cut it to just a 1-score deficit going into the half with a late score. Then in the third quarter, they're down 2 scores again, and they score another touchdown, probably the play of the game, really, from Darion Washington, who had 3 total touchdowns. Maybe not one as timely as this one. On a 4th and 2 from the Warrenton 40-yard line, he rips off a 40-yard touchdown. If you don't get that, not even score, if you don't get the first down there, you give it back to Warrenton with a chance to go up 3 scores, ice the game with a quarter and change to go. Instead, he rips off a 40-yard touchdown on a really well-designed play, really timely play where Hannibal played to their strength. I encourage anyone who's watching this to go check out that highlight. You can find it on socials. You can find it where we've posted highlights. It was a really, on all fronts. Actually, too, I want to do this. Now that I'm sitting here and talking through this, let's have some fun with this first video. I got the notepad here with a couple notes. And just thinking right now, why not? I'm going to draw some stuff out here so I can talk through this more. And also, I encourage you to go watch highlight. But again, can add some more commentary here if I draw this out, because I just saw this highlight again recently. And I think this was playing to your strengths. When you need 2 yards, this was well timed. So I'm going to cook this up on the fly. Got the notepad here. So I just make sure we got our all 11 here. This is doing some math, and make sure we're good. Make sure we're good to go here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to draw up the 11 for Hannibal, and then I'm going to add in the key contributors for Warrenton as we go. But here on my little diagram here, we got our 11 for Hannibal. Again, the 4-yard line, you need 2 yards. Play to your strengths. They've been able to run the ball all night. Why not do that here? So what I've got lined up, you got 6 men on the line of scrimmage. Your lineman, an extra guy was pulled over here. two wide receivers, and two men in the backfield on this play for Hannibal. Who I've got circled here, that's Mr. Darion Washington, who's going to break off our big run here. So essentially, you're coming to the line of scrimmage. All right, we got three offensive linemen over here. Could we run it off to the right side? But we're stronger over here with our extra wide receivers and blockers. Could we run it over here? You got two men in the backfield. You can kind of set up a variety of things here. It's likely you're going to run the ball based on the way this game has gone. But I wanted to draw this play out because it was really well done. So you snap the ball. What happens here is Darion's going to start going forward, but the second running back is going to come over here. And what that does, there's a defensive end right here for Warrenton who sees this and now has to stay home. This defensive end right here has to wait to make sure that they don't give it to this running back and he goes over here. Because he has to wait, this offensive lineman jumps up to the second level and starts blocking. So when they turn and hand it to Mr. Washington right here, he just follows this blocker right here, right through, runs right past this guy, and now we're into the second level past those 2 yards. So I want to really drawing this up right here and moving this over this way caused that defensive end to have to stay, and it's so well drawn. This left tackle just lets him, doesn't even block him, gets to that second level. Quarterback gives it right here to Darion Washington. He follows the block, and then once you're into that second level, there's really one main defender right here. Darion Washington meets him. There's another guy over here, but he puts one foot in the ground. He's off to the races, off to the right side and gone. So I hope you can kind of understand from this impromptu drawing what I'm getting at. Once again, go see the highlight, but there was so much that went into this play, playing to your strengths. You give them something to think about with these offensive linemen. You make this defensive end right here wait and make sure they're not going to pitch it or something. And then you can just have Darion Washington follow his blocker to the second level. Blocks are made, everyone's getting up. And then you just have a guy right here, put your foot in the ground, and you're off to the races for 30 yards. You're just running. So that's my little diagram over here. And what was, I had to have it. Fourth down, 2. You need 2 yards. Instead, they get 40. They get the home run, play the game right there for Darion Washington in a loss. But when I saw that play, I was like, on all fronts, that was well done. That was winning football. They win the game. That shows why they get to this point, winning the multiple playoff games that Hannibal does. And a big reason why Darion Washington had 3 touchdowns on the night. I thought a good performance there. He made the cut, jumps off to the races. So fun stuff with there. Hope you enjoyed that. Some extra analysis. But obviously Hannibal's season comes to an end, and now they're on to the football renovations and on to next season, football stadium renovations and on to next season. Let's get into Saturday stuff. I'm going to start with QU men's and women's basketball at home at Pepsi Arena. First of all, out to Pepsi Arena, I was really last week for the first time to watch basketball. I went to the men's home opener as a spectator, watched and took that one in. A lot of fun at that arena. Good place to watch again, good place to shoot. I enjoyed this past week, but then I was back out at it on Saturday to actually do the highlights. I'll start with the women's game. Both of these games, actually, men's and women's, were fun ones and both close wins. Both of them pick up wins on Saturday. First, women's team over Washburn, 70-67. A couple of takeaways from this game. One, the much stronger start to the season for the Hawks. Women's team had a slow start last year. They finished the season under 500. They played this same Washburn team earlier on in the season. It was a 30-something point loss. This time you beat them, and it took a 10-point, outscoring them by 10 points in the fourth quarter to get this win. That has to feel good. And now they're 3-1 on the season, and the only loss so far came by a point. That has to feel good based on the way this last season ended. You've got some early season momentum. You get these couple of home wins. That, I would assume, feels good, and now they're back at it this upcoming weekend. Maybe build on that, gets things rolling. Other thing I wanted to talk about, Nicole McDermott with 25 of the Hawks' 70 points in this one, was named the all-tourney team for the couple of games over the weekend. Got to see a couple of buckets from her, was a facilitator as well. Big performance on Saturday in that early game at Pepsi Arena, and a really key win, now moved to 3-1 on the season for QU. Then we get to the men's game, which was a thriller coming down the stretch against Missouri Southern, 71-68 final score. Brad Hoyt's crew, with 10 seconds to go in a tie game, he gets the steal, going the other way, the hoop and the harm, the N1, and 3 points there on that play gets you the 3-point win. That takes place when there are 10 seconds to go. And now is another second half comeback. Hawks went into halftime down 9 points in this one. They have a big second half and come back to win this one. And to win it in the fashion they did with the steal and the bucket, really both ends coming into play, that to me, off rip, kind of speaks coaching, and it's a veteran head coach in Brad Hoyt now got his guys with their feet under them. They lose the first 2 games. They come back home. Now they've won 2 in a row, especially in comeback fashion. In this second one, it kind of shows that it's a veteran coach, a good coach now getting his guys ready to go in this first year for him at this new program. And now, at the time of when this is posted on Thursday, their next game is on Thursday, so it'd be today, and a chance to go to above 500. So at 0-2, you worry first year coach, no matter what program. This is not specific to QU. Wherever you are, do you let things spiral as guys are getting adjusted into their roles? Nope, that has not happened for the Hawks. They've won 2 in a row. Maybe that gets to momentum for them as well. No bigger bucket for them than to get one with under 10 seconds to go. They're trailing with a minute to go. They're tied with 10 seconds, and they get the win on the end one. So fun stuff there for QU this past Saturday. I got a real nice seat there down on the court to record highlights for both of those games. Wanted to dive deeper into those finishes. And then the one last game from this past Saturday I wanted to touch on, Hannibal soccer dropping 2-0 to Ladue, Horton, Watkins. My main things here, one, Ladue just, it felt like, had a ton of time possessing the ball, especially early in this one, not necessarily putting shots on goal, a ton of them, but just having the ball going towards Hannibal's goalkeeper in Clayton Neeson. It just felt like they put the pressure on, and Hannibal wasn't able to capitalize with their prolific scorers going the other way because Ladue possessed the ball so much. Hannibal has all the firepower, but weren't able to take advantage of it, it felt like. A guy like Bodie Rollins, who, by the way, on Wednesday just was named to the Class 2 region team for Offensive Player of the Year, wasn't able to get as many opportunities because Ladue, it felt like, had the ball so much. So you're missing out on opportunities there, and it came back to bite Hannibal boys soccer. And then the other one, very late in the first half, it was Kevin Westhoff setting up an opportunity for Hannibal to tie the game. They were down 1-0 late in the first half. Shots going towards the goal, or at least the ball is going towards the goal. The Ladue goalie had vacated, so someone else jumped in for Ladue. Hannibal had 2 shots on the goal, and whoever it was that jumped in spectacular fashion, knocked away both of them. I don't even know if you can fault Hannibal. It was just 2 great plays, and in that moment, after I stopped my recording and the ball was going out of balance, and I'm standing there thinking, it's just, man, was that a missed opportunity? Instead of going into half 1-1 with a momentum swing, instead you're down 1-0. And then unknowingly at the time, Ladue would go on to add a second one in the second half and win it 2-0. So I thought that was a potential for a big momentum swing. Hannibal doesn't get it. They lose this game. And a spectacular season for Hannibal overall. They went 26-3. They had the win against Fort Jumwalt South a week prior with the golden goal by Bodie Rollins and pitching a shutout. But it's just tough. They played a good Ladue team. You don't want to hang your head if you're Hannibal. But they fall on Saturday 2-0. And just some of my thoughts there with momentum. And it didn't feel like Hannibal had a whole lot of it in this one, really from the jump. So those were my thoughts. Those were the 4 games that I was really present at this past week, doing both sports and news here in town. Before I wrap this thing up, once again, thank you to anyone who has watched, and please stay with us for this next upcoming week. We've got a couple great football games. Camp Point Central hopes to continue their physical style of play deep into this playoff run. They've got a game on Saturday against Althoff Catholic. See what they do there. Bowling Green, a rematch with Valley Catholic. I was on hand to see the Bobcats kind of get punched in the mouth early against Valley Catholic and end up dropping that game. That's Bowling Green's only loss so far this season. Now we get a rematch that in the playoffs on Saturday. Fun football for us. And stay tuned. Hope to do one of these again next week with games like that, wherever else I'm at this next upcoming week or so. Talk about stuff just like that on another video like this. Thanks again. Please let me know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see from something like this moving forward. If you see me out in public, please. I've had so many good interactions so far with everyone who's came up to me. So thank you so much to anyone who's done that. Please keep doing that as well. If you see me, always happy to chat and get some familiar with this community. So thanks to everyone watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everyone. Some good sports coming up. Take care.